What up, everybody? This is another episode of Fun and Truth in Black and White with Pat and Jay.
He's Jay, I'm Pat.
We are live at MINIBAR. We want to thank our audience. Give it up for our audience.
I want to thank Jen. I just met Jen, but she handed me a drink in 30 seconds, so
yes, Jen
I
is
feel like
awesome.
we're family now.
I'll drink to that.
Yes. Right,
And,
I gotta say, hold on.
Yeah.
Mike, Jay's baby and his drink. Like, she gave us the drinks at the same time. Jay still has like 40 ounces in his glass. And I don't understand. Drink your drink, Jay.
So, first of all, big up to Mikey Palms. DJ
Always.
Mikey Palms spinning.
My man.
And for our audience, if you're not familiar with us, so Fun and Truth in Black and White is a podcast that we do in which we talk about cultural topics and love, sex, and relationships. And a couple of things. There's a mic at the bar if you want to ask questions during our shot breaks. So we do a couple of shot breaks throughout the night. You're welcome to join us. The shots are for Pat and I just to get well lubricated while we're on these subjects.
Okay. Well, this is a family show.
Whose family? In any case, so I also put out cards for everybody. If you have any questions, we pass around the hat, and after the podcast is over, we have an overtime shot break in which we answer audience questions. Feel free. It's anonymous. You don't have to put your name or anything. Just ask a question, and we'll do our best to answer it. In any case, Pat, it's another episode, man.
Let's do it.
And let's start with the Yankees.
Hold on, what hospital were you? You're born in Brooklyn, right? What hospital were you born in? Do you know?
I was actually born at NYU.
You were born in the city?
I was born in the city.
I was born in Kings County. Like, when I was born in Kings County Hospital, they were like mixing babies up and stuff.
Yeah.
Like back then, it wasn't a good hospital. So, it was crazy, but big up Brooklyn all day.
Word.
Right. So let's talk about the Yankees first and foremost. Any baseball fans here? Anyone?
Woohoo!
Yankees. Come on, so I'm not going to lie. I'm totally scared of Houston. I hope Tampa beats Houston so we don't have to play them. But I'm really hoping we take it all this year.
Well, listen, give it up to Pete Alonso for a phenomenal year with the Mets.
Oh, my God. Beast.
And otherwise, hopefully the Yankees can take it all the way, keep it in New York.
Anything in New York, I'm good, man.
Yeah, man. So this is our second live episode. And the first live episode we did, we got a lot of feedback on Hollywood and sex.
Yeah.
And we were
one lady
asked
almost
to continue this. That's right. So we had started this from the standpoint of best sex scenes in Hollywood. And one of the controversies is what makes a great sex scene. Now, feedback from the audience was that you don't have to take your clothes off for a good sex scene.
Yeah. One lady, basically bit my head off because she said that you can have a great sex scene with hoodies on. And I'm like, how?
Well, that's a new form of contraception, I guess.
It's like playing checkers, right?
How do you figure that out?
I don't know, but I'm not that romantic, I guess, because I don't know how to have a sex scene.
So let me get into this from the standpoint of a cultural sort of issue. There are some people who look at love versus sex as two completely different things. And I guess between men and women, and then, culturally you get into it. What is the difference between where love ends and sex starts, or where sex starts and love begins?
I think a lot of people think love is poetry, flowers, music, and they think sex is porn. But it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, right?
Okay.
You can be romantic and still end up in the bedroom, and then what happens there is between two adults.
Right.
So, I think some people draw a distinction, and that's a problem, because you might have somebody that's unfulfilled because they're not getting everything in one spot.
Right. And going back to Hollywood, one of the questions is that Hollywood feeds us through movies what our imagination is supposed to be. So one of the controversies that comes up is that you see something through a Hollywood movie and you suddenly you feed something through a Hollywood movie and you suddenly think that is what you're supposed to be doing, or that's what sex is supposed to be, or relationship is supposed to be. But in reality, a relationship is far more than what you see in a Hollywood scene.
So are people sheep? Like, if they see something in a movie, do they go emulate that? Or do they just let their relationship dictate what happens in the bedroom? I think the big problem is people aren't being true to themselves.
Right.
Like, if you're basing what happens in your relationship of what you saw in a movie, you got a problem.
Well, but you hear this from women all the time in terms of, romance novels. So what they see in a movie might be something that they want that, their man isn't giving them, and they're looking for a man to give it to them.
But let's flip it, though. There might be a guy that sees a movie and this guy strong-armed this chick, right, into being – then he might try that with some girl he doesn't know, and now he's getting slapped upside his head. So I think it could work both ways.
Okay.
Like, in general, know who you're talking to.
So is a part of it whether or not you have a certain level of experience, and when you're watching a movie, you kind of just gauge it based on your level of experience?
Or if you have no game whatsoever.
Okay.
And you're like, so you're watching Brad Pitt eat a sandwich, and then he gets this girl's number. You're like, all right, all I got to do is go eat a sandwich. You're
if I look like Brad Pitt.
Like, first of all, you don't look like Brad Pitt. Right? So, understand, stay in your lane. You're like,
you got a face for a podcast.
I'm just saying, man, like, I just think people need to figure out who you are, be that, see what comes out.
Isn't that one of the problems is that we're constantly struggling in this society, and especially with now social media and the infinitesimal amount of time that people have to focus on themselves. They're wondering constantly, what do people think of me? And you got Hollywood now, feeding you these images of how people are supposed to act and how people are supposed to walk and talk and be smooth. I mean, you brought up Brad Pitt. I constantly hear women talking about either Denzel or Idris Elba.
Idris nowadays is...
Right. I mean, they want him to be the next James Bond. I mean, that's a controversy in itself that,
But let me just say this, too.
He's a good DJ.
Is he really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Thing is, it's not where you get...
Does he have a face for a podcast, though?
Listen, it's not where you get your appetite, so long as you eat at home, right? Oh. So I have a lady, and she sees Idris Elba, and she gets excited. If she comes home to me, it's not a problem, right? Like, it doesn't matter where you get your appetite if you eat at home.
Well, it's only a problem if Idris Elba shows up at your house.
Oh, man. See, now you... somebody get... Jen just said it's not a problem.
It's not a problem. Hey, well,
He's attainable. He is attainable.
So... Moving on.
Now, hold on.
Yeah.
Let's stay on that for a second.
Yeah.
Let's say you have a woman and she cheats on you. Does it matter to you if she cheats on you with the guy up the block that works at the post office versus Idris Elba? Like, does it matter to you? Are there different degrees to cheating, or do you not care? Like, whoever it is, would you say to her, "Well, it was Idris, so I get it"?
Well, I think that matters based on the level of confidence you have in yourself with whether or not her cheating on you is, a controversial issue. I mean, there's some people that, if you have that type of relationship, you might say to yourself, well, obviously, what am I not giving you that,
Yeah, but not everybody cheats because they want something. Like, look, so let's say you're eating turkey.
Right.
Every day.
Yeah.
The best turkey, right?
Best turkey.
Somebody can give you some lasagna.
Right.
It doesn't have to be as good as the turkey. It's just
crappy
different.
Lasagna.
It's just different.
Right.
So the woman that cheats may have no issues at home, but it's Idris. She's like, you know what?
No, there's always an issue.
Nah, listen. I think it's a big misconception that women cheat just because they're not happy. Like,
okay.
Why can't a woman be greedy? Like, the same way men could be greedy.
Right.
Why can't a woman be like, you know what?
That's a good question.
I like him.
Right.
Just because he looks good. Not because anything's wrong with my husband.
I think it's a valid point, and I think that my take on it isn't necessarily disagreement.
Me too movement.
There you go. But my take on it isn't disagreement as much as it's simply a matter of again, if you're looking at it from not necessarily that she cheated because I did something wrong, but there's something that she wants that I'm not giving her. You understand?
Or maybe you're just not Idris. Like, so.
But I'm not giving her Idris. You understand? Because I'm not Idris.
But it's always going to be another, so let's say you're with a woman, and she has no complaints.
Right.
Take her out, treat her good, give her nice gifts. If you have children together, you're a great father, whatever. It may not be that you're doing anything wrong. He's just Idris.
Right. So, that's my point. So she could be bored for a reason that has nothing to do with what I am or am not giving her.
Pass me the ball again.
Yo, bounce pass.
All right. Name a Hollywood, name a celebrity that you're really into. Anyone.
Male or female.
All right. It's been nice meeting you guys. It's been nice meeting you guys. All right.
That's the bounce pass right
Yo, that went out of bounds, Jess. All right. Listen. Name a female, just for the sake of this conversation, celebrity that you're into.
Halle Berry.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Now let's say at home you're with Jennifer Lopez.
Okay.
Like she's Benjamin Buttons. Like she looks better today than she did 20 years ago.
Okay.
Right? So you're with Jennifer Lopez. But Halle Berry is like,
Benjamin Buttons too.
She's like, I'm into you, and for 2 hours I want to be all about you, into you.
Right.
You're not cheating on J-Lo because something's wrong with J-Lo. You're cheating on J-Lo because Halle Berry's trying to give you a slice.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
So what you're saying is that I might have a prime rib at home, but I just got a lemon meringue.
Yo, bro, whatever you like to eat. What I'm saying is, it's not always that deep. Like, not everybody's cheating for some kind of outlet.
So, in other words, options, because they're there.
Which, another question we had in the last podcast, is monogamy, is it natural?
Right.
I don't know.
No, it's not natural. It's a normal part of our society. In other words, we accept monogamy because that is the way that our society has designed, relationships.
Is it,
but
though?
From a primal perspective.
If we've designed it like that, we have shows Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire, The Bachelor. Like, if we were really about that, then those shows wouldn't do so well.
Right.
So I don't know what's real and what's not. I just know that every situation is different, and I can't judge anybody for doing what they do. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. We need a shot.
All right, so we're going to take a break. DJ Mikey Palms.
Yo, Mikey, I ordered Jay another rum and coke. By the time we leave here, he's going to have 4 of them. Nursing.
You ready?
All right. Yep. All right, so we're back.
All right, Jay, so check it.
Yeah.
We're talking about monogamy, cheating, being faithful. At the root of it, is it about compatibility?
That's a great question. And what is compatibility?
Is it a made-up word? Like, is it real? Like, are people really compatible for each other?
Right. So, getting into compatibility, what is it made up of? I think that's the question, is that people talk about whether they're compatible with somebody or not. And at what point do you figure that out? So you meet somebody, you go on a date with them, and you're drinking the same drink. You like the same drink. You like the same food.
Same song.
Same song. You happen to like the same color. You happen to like... Does that make you compatible? Or is it that you just have a certain number of things in common that you connect on? And then from that connection, you're able to find a greater sense of emotional attraction.
All right. So whoever said opposites attract is probably the same person that said money can't make you happy. Like some broke single person, right?
Okay.
So I think opposites attract applies to like race, color, body type. But personality-wise,
right,
I think it's nonsense. Right?
Okay.
So I think, but then you have to draw a distinction. You can be compatible personality-wise and not compatible in the bedroom. You can be compatible in the bedroom
and not be compatible personality-wise.
Right. So I just think you have to really get to know each other. Like, I know it sounds corny and cliche, but maybe what you need to do is have sex and hang out a lot, and then before you figure out whether you're compatible with this person.
Give me the rock, man.
And there you go, off the back.
All right, so one of the things you just hit on is the fact that there are people that can light fire in the bedroom and hate each other outside of the bedroom. You can have someone who is graduated with a medical degree banging somebody who got their GED, right?
You trying to rap right now?
So from the
Mikey wants to know if you have lyrics.
Yo, hit me, Mikey.
Yo, if you start freestyling, I'm walking home right now.
Exactly, all the way. Like,
so the key is that when we think of the word compatibility, we're thinking of something that two people are, like melding together, that somehow they have a mesh with each other. But the bigger issue is that if they have certain things that work for them, they don't have to be compatible and have a high quality relationship based on what the needs are for the two of them.
So if we're tying this together, though, does one affect the other? Like, does compatibility or lack thereof lead to infidelity? Or are they totally two separate entities?
Well, here's a question for you. I'm going to throw a curveball at you and say that you could be married to somebody, hate their guts, and yet be able to fuck their brains out and get up the next morning and walk out the door like, I can't wait to divorce this motherfucker.
Marriage is a funny thing, though, because marriage is funny because there's all kinds of like marriages. There's like resume marriages, like, oh snap, he makes a lot of money, I'm gonna marry him. There's like nationality marriages. We're from the same island, let's get married.
Right.
There's like, we're from the same church marriages. Like, there's so many kinds, and in that list is like love marriage.
And then there's the complete opposite, where you talk about opposites attract. There's people that decide to get married simply because they want to piss everybody else off by being together.
Yo, who do you hang out with? Like, some of the shit you say, I'm like, I've known you half my life, and I don't even know who you're talking about. So give me without real names. Tell me somebody you know that got married to piss off the planet. Like, explain that one to me.
I wish I could, man. I wish I could. So, I think my point behind it, though, is that why people get together is between them, but oftentimes isn't it a matter of their connection versus their compatibility? Because again, the word compatibility in and of itself is kind of a vague sort of notion that two people mesh together.
I mean, sometimes chemistry could be momentary.
Exactly.
Like, you ever take a trip and you have all types of compatibility. Like,
at that moment.
You're gone 4 days and you were compatible six times, right?
You were compatible beyond compatible.
So it's like there's different levels to this. Like, sustained compatibility, though, is like lightning in a bottle.
Right.
Like the Cosby Show, like, and I don't mean Bill Cosby, I mean Bill Cosby, right?
Okay.
I don't mean
you
the one that was
Huxtable.
drug. Yeah, the real clear, that one.
Right.
Like, that whole thing, it exists, but it's like lightning in a bottle. Listen, man.
Right.
That whole...
You weren't feeling that jello.
I'm just saying, like, it's so rare that somebody wants to look at somebody for like 60 years.
Right.
Every day.
And
like,
put the pudding in the pudding pop.
Yo. With the pill inside the pudding. Nah, let me stop. So I'm just saying, like, it exists, but it's like, I think it's like Halley's Comet.
Right.
Like,
okay.
Like, so for every 100 people you know that's married, if you even know that many,
right?
How many are happy? Like, and I mean, when I say happy, you ever see a married couple come into a party?
Well,
and they walk in together,
right?
And they walk out together. But in between, they didn't speak at all.
And see, but you're touching on the point about
you can tell they're not really cool. They're just married, right?
But see, you're touching on a point that, again, once you get familiar with somebody, and familiarity breeds contempt, there is a level of understanding within two people that, again, because they're married, whether they look like they're happy or not to other people, they could give a fuck about.
All right, here's the analogy. So,
right,
you ever put on an old pair of sneakers?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, they're ripped.
Yep.
Beat.
Yo.
But they're comfortable.
They're your jams.
So, you don't clean them, you don't kill it, you don't care about them. You step in mud. Let somebody give you some new shoes.
Right.
Then you're putting them back in the box. You're cleaning them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the same thing with people, right? Like this girl is with this guy. He's the old shoe. This dude Idris or whomever, Idris lookalike, walks in. He's a new shoe.
He's the new shoe. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
She's gonna show him some attention.
So what you're saying is that people like new shoes.
I mean, amongst other things. Look. What I'm saying is, women aren't very much unlike men. All right.
But isn't it women that love new shoes? I mean, how many pairs of shoes do you have versus how many pairs of shoes that any woman in this room has?
That's a good question.
Man,
right there.
You're putting me on the spot, B. I don't really know, man.
But my point is, my point is that do you go shoe shopping on a regular? Do you?
61?
I got 61. Nobody could probably beat me on that except for maybe Jen.
All right, DJ Mikey is blowing up his own spot. 61 pairs.
Yo, if he likes
what
sneakers,
are you, fucking Roger Maris over there?
He wears with no socks and jeans. And
yo, my man says you got to spray your shoes.
How many pairs, Jen? More than 61? Okay, so Jen got me. Me too.
Yo, since we're on the subject though of shoes, a girl can go to the cleaners, right? Like run an errand.
Right.
The look she gets from guys is different. It could be different by the shoes she's wearing.
True.
Like I'm being honest. Like if you're going to the cleaners and you're wearing like some flats,
it could be.
Guys are gonna look. If you're wearing heels, guys are gonna. This gonna be a car accident.
Listen,
like,
man.
Somebody's gonna stop to come talk to you. Like
you're hitting on a point that like cracks me up because you go to an airport. And I love more than anywhere else. You go to an airport and you got people wearing everything, right? Why the fuck do you get on an airplane in high heels?
Jay, the same reason why women hang out at Home Depot. Yo, every dude at Home Depot is either a contractor or owns a house.
Word.
Right? I'm just saying, like, you never know when you're going to be Idris, right? He takes planes. Look, I'm not knocking any woman that wants to go on a plane, fly to Dubai for 16 hours with heels on. That's what you want to do?
Yo.
That's what I hope I get a seat next to you.
Word.
100%. You can't knock that.
All right. So getting back to compatibility. Obviously, we know that, Mikey's compatible with a woman with lots of shoes.
Yeah.
And
she has to know her music, though.
And
like I think it'll turn him off. If
you're happy to be the old shoe. So between,
your Mikey's about to fight you. Nah, he's not calling you.
Calm down,
shoe,
Roger
bro.
Maris.
He's not calling. No one knows who that is. True story. Well done.
But I think that the greater point here, and we'll take our next shop break in a second, but the greater point here is the fact that when you're looking at relationships and you're looking at what goes into a relationship or why you are interested in somebody, too often we fall back on this word compatibility. Like, we're compatible.
Can I just say something, Jay?
Go ahead.
When women call their girlfriends and say, "Oh my God, I got engaged," here's what you hear: "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." When guys call their friends, they're like, "Yo, man, I got engaged this weekend." You know what dudes say? They go, "Oh, word?
God bless you."
You sure you want to do that?
You sure you want to do that? Exactly.
Women view it as a beginning. Men view it as an ending.
Right.
True story.
Right, because, again, it's how you look at your options. But, again, you started this by saying how women could cheat for no reason. So
it's true. Like,
I think that's
like,
a
not
modern...
every stripper is paying tuition.
True.
Right? Not every porn star is a runaway that got led astray.
True.
Right? Not every woman that cheats is cheating because her man's a bad father or a bad husband. Like, some people just do what they do.
Yeah.
And I just think you talked about, like, media. Like, I think TV skews that. Right? Like, if TV has you, if TV was real, like, you would think all like domestic violence is men to women, but it's not true, right? There's women that abuse men. So I just think media is such a powerful thing, man. It has you thinking one thing, but just live your life,
right? So it's not really 50 Shades of Grey. It's really 50 Shades of whatever color you choose.
Listen, that book has dudes in jail because guys thinking they can choke women out and give them a safe word, but
tie them
she
up
never agreed to that shit.
Right,
like, listen,
right.
Man, like, so don't do that.
Right. So that goes back to the fact that again, and this is the whole thing of monogamy being normal, not natural. So there are social contracts between people. And if you want to do something with somebody, you got to have a conversation and make sure that they're cool with it before you engage in it. And I think that's one of the things.
It's not just in relationships that's intimate. Like you ever see a girl come up to another girl, hey, bitch. Then some dude thinks he can call her a bitch. No, idiot. Like, that's her homegirl. She can do that.
That's their personal lingo.
Right?
That's their code.
Like, there's jokes people make to me about my culture. If you're my man, you can do whatever you want because I know you. Right. But if some dude on the street tells me the same joke, it's a problem, right? So I just think you have to know your audience, know who you're talking to. Same thing in a relationship. Like, don't slap her if you think it's going to turn her on because you saw it in porn.
And you didn't ask her.
If she hasn't already.
Is she cool with that?
If you guys, right, because now you're disrespecting the relationship. So I don't think that goes with any situation. It could be you and your friend. Right. It could be you and somebody you're dating. Whoever you're with.
You know, that brings up a point about, again, social culture. You know, a woman slaps you. You know, how do you react versus a man slapping a woman? There's a sort of doublespeak there for a lot of people because they say that chivalry is dead and that, you know...
Men don't talk about it.
Men don't talk about it. That's 100% right. But it's the fact that, you know, again, how we look at... From the reaction standpoint, let's not talk about the action, but the reaction standpoint is what is it that, you know, people think is okay versus what's communicated.
I mean, I just think, for first, full disclosure, I'm an asshole, right? So, like, what I mean is anything dealing with kids or, like, abusing women, like, I have, like, a zero tolerance. Like, I'm one of the people that there's nothing you could tell me why it's okay, why a person would hit. So,
100%.
I'm very extreme.
Yeah.
In that, but even if you get assaulted, right? Like, you can contain the woman without hitting her back. Like, I'm one of them, right?
Right.
Love my mother, love my sister, so that's just me. But to answer your question, you know, I just think if a guy doesn't come home with a loaf of bread that his wife asked him to bring home, and she punches him in the face, that's not okay, right?
Right.
But what happens, he's emasculated and he can't tell anybody because if he goes to the local precinct, the cops, they're going to laugh at him, or he thinks they're going to.
Right.
If he calls his buddy like, yo, Jocelyn just punched me in my face because I didn't bring home the bread. Like, you're a clown. Like, you can't go to the barbershop ever again. You can't go to the gym. Like, you're finished. Right. And that's society. You know.
So again, that leads to, you know, again, we have these social contracts. We have these ideas of what's normal versus what's natural. And then you get into compatibility. And one of the issues of compatibility is when you have stress or confusion or chaos within a relationship, you go from this word compatibility to all of a sudden crossing the lines. And I think that that's one of the issues is that if you have a true connection with somebody and you're communicating with each other and you have an open relationship, then if something happens between the two of you at a time of stress or at a time of controversy, there's going to be a lot more understanding than if you just rely on the word compatible and then shit goes down.
But does what you want change? Like, is it, okay, so let's say a woman wants tall, dark, handsome, successful, blah, 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 right? She gets it. But on a random Friday night, she doesn't want any of that.
Right.
She'll take short, unsuccessful,
bald,
fat, but there's something that he has at that moment that she wants. That doesn't make her wrong.
So,
I'm just saying, like...
You're bringing up a very valuable point, which is the fact that you could be in the mood for different things at different times. And again, the difference between the word compatibility and true emotional connection and communication is that you can communicate that to a person and be like, you know what? This is what I'm feeling. I'm not feeling you tonight. I'm feeling like going out. And, you know, I'm not necessarily saying that you have to condone it. I'm just saying that's what it is. And you can communicate that with somebody because you have a level of trust with each other.
Okay.
Kiss my ass.
Slap me, choke me. All right, so hold on. How honest is too honest?
Well, I think that's, again, the level of the relationship. Because
hold on, I'm talking to you, though.
Okay.
Right, so I'm putting you on the spot.
Put me on the spot.
Your woman comes to you, Jay. Right. The dude that delivered.
Which woman?
See, Yeah, Mike. The dude,
Shut up, Roger Maris.
so listen, hold on. Your woman says, Jay, the guy that delivered the FedEx package, I want him. The next time he delivers it, I want him to deliver me. I want him. So she's being honest, right?
Right.
How honest is too honest?
Well, in that particular case, I'll go to the FedEx dude and be like, yo, my wife wants you. And see what reaction he has.
Oh, shit.
Really?
Yo, Jay just
Why not?
Yo, Jay just threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
I don't even have a comeback for that.
That's a
But
tough
why
one.
not?
That's a
He's
tough
like, I
one.
saw that package too.
If that's what she wants, why not let him know and see how he reacts to the situation?
If I was the driver and I saw you coming up to the truck, I would speed the fuck off.
Exactly my
You was
point.
back up over Jay? Wow. Yeah, so you know what's funny in that situation, though, seriously, you can't shoot the messenger. Because on one hand, let's say you're not down for her to go do that.
Right.
If you, curse her out and argue with her, now she's never going to tell you ever again what she's thinking.
Exactly.
Right? So, but the question is, could your relationship sustain? Could you maintain after that?
All right. So a certain part of it is your own
and
level.
would you watch?
A certain part of it is your own level of confidence. And I think that based on where you are in your life and your partner, you'd be surprised at the things that you'd be willing to do based on what your particular situation is. And there are people out there that, based on their level of trust, they can have things between each other that the rest of us kind of are in awe about. However, the majority of us, based on our own egos and our own false pretenses, we tend to shut down the minute that somebody presents something to us that we don't
So
like.
you're saying that somebody's response would be based on their insecurity or their security?
I think it's more their insecurity than their security. The more secure you are is the more likely you are not to respond, but to basically accept and say, let's explore that. So I think that, again, we went to school for a minimum of 10 to 12 years, every one of us, right? And
Hopefully.
Not Jesse.
Well, I mean, in Jesse's case, he was lucky to make it past
Yeah,
kindergarten.
Jesse saves
so,
lives for a living.
That's it. Listen.
Let me not knock my man.
That's right.
New York's the Ravens.
Yeah, Jay.
Actually,
Yeah, Jay.
if you want a real mind fuck, Jesse's an engineer on top of everything else.
100%.
Yeah,
True,
so
that's a fact.
you'd never know that about him unless you get him 3 sheets to the wind. So
I gotta tell you, the dude that just walked in, he and I wrote a few movies together. That's my man right there, Sid. Got one up through. Yeah.
So, getting back to Jesse, no.
Yo, listen, hold on. So compatibility.
Yeah.
Some people are into all kinds of stuff.
Right.
BDSM is one of them.
What
That's-
the hell is that?
Jay, what's BDSM?
Bondage, domination, submission,
Jay, speak with your
masochism.
chest. Say it like you mean it, Jay. What's BDSM?
Bondage, domination, submission, and masochism.
Oh, you failed. You failed.
Yo, the S in BDSM was for stuttering and shit. So listen, yo, let's do a shot break and come back, talk about BDSM.
Word up. Pat, I want to give it up to our audience. These questions that they're putting in are absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait to get to the end of the episode.
Mike, you got me?
No, keep on going. Keep on going.
Plug 1, plug 2.
Okay.
Check 1, check 2.
Doom, doom,
Bring
doom.
the mic closer, Pat, if you wouldn't mind.
How about now? Good?
That's good.
All right, bro.
All right, so one of our audience members corrected me. I was wrong in BDSM. It is bondage, domination, sadism, masochism. Excuse
My man
me.
right there.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate him.
That's what 2 rum and cokes and a couple of shots will do to you very quickly.
Jay said, BDSM. I was like, Corky, please. Love you though, bro. Love you.
All right, so
You stuttered on that shit, too. You was like, go ahead.
right.
So we're live at MINIBAR. Let's give it up to MINIBAR.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for having us,
Jen is the best host.
Absolutely phenomenal.
I gotta go to Thanksgiving at Jen's house.
Agreed.
Like she
If
gave
she'll
me
have
a
you.
drink as soon as I feel like a Thanksgiving before my coat gets
You
off,
do
she's gonna
realize
give me
that
a
if
drink.
Idris Elba is there, you may not have a seat.
Nah, I don't know about that. Jen shows me love, bro.
Well, that's until Idris is
Yeah,
there.
but she's not trying to sleep with me. That's different. She's trying to get me.
Well, how do you know? Have you asked her?
See, don't do that to Jen. Don't put her on the spot, bro. All right. So where we at? BDSM. Do it again. Do the acronym one more time.
So bondage, domination, sadism,
I'll just
and
test
Mexican.
All right. So what are your thoughts? BDSM.
Well, all right. Let's go through the whole gambit of what we have talked about here, and for those of you who have been paying attention, tonight's episode of Truth in Black and White, Fun and Truth in Black and White with Pat and Jay. This is Go Hard or Go Home. We are live at MINIBAR. And we've been talking about sex in Hollywood, compatibility, and now infidelity, and now we are into BDSM, and it really comes down to a contract between two people and a level of trust and understanding. And I think one of the misconceptions about BDSM is that it's just this kink that people are into, and we look at it as sort of like a fringe, but in order to be there, you've got to have a level of trust and go deep with somebody to be able to get into this level of kink.
Pause. My man Mikey acknowledged the word deep.
Yes.
It's critical.
Yes.
In all kinds of sex.
Agreed.
Let alone
I mean, if you're not going deeper deeper.
All right, so personal experience. The first time, does anybody remember the first time someone grabbed them, more aggressively than they're used to?
Right.
Might have been a choke, might have been a slap, what have you. But, not something disrespectful or violence, but just something as a means of foreplay. And what's funny is, it can be an immediate turn on or it can ruin the night.
Right.
Right. And I think the important thing is establishing the trust first, right? Because even if you never specifically discussed that thing, if there's a trust, then the person can stop you and they won't be afraid to stop you. Look, right. I didn't like that.
There's a word that I have heard a lot of women use and men fail to understand it quite often, called context.
Hold on, time out. My man knows. What's your name, bro?
Safe words.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He knew the S in BDSM. He knows safe words. This is the reference point right here.
Well, I mean, listen. Put up a shingle.
I ain't in the community. You just gotta learn about this. You never know who you're gonna meet.
I want him to join us. He knows what he's talking about.
Agreed. And additional to that is the fact that his awareness is a level above where most people are. Because again, going back to Hollywood and sex, most people who watch 50 Shades of Grey are just seeing the movie and not understanding the context of not only the book, which is far more comprehensive, but the fact that he just even used the word community. There is a community specifically dedicated to the practice.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
And, I think that one of the things is when you get involved in learning and education and understanding, you find out that the people in this community are far more thoughtful and aware of what it is that they're doing.
Yeah, it's not a passing fad for them.
Yeah, just think of the word. Just think of the fact that you use something called a safe word. So you have to have not only a trust with somebody, but you have to have an agreement in which the minute that you use a particular word, everything stops, and you basically talk or just shut down whatever it was that you were doing.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty. What's the line of demarcation? Like BDSM, right? Is it tying up? Is it spankings? Like, where is it? When is it too far? Is too far based on the relationship? Is every relationship different? Like, when does BDSM cross over into abuse? Like, I'm just saying, what are we talking about here? For the person, if somebody's listening and has never heard this term before, How would we define it?
Right. So one of the issues is that oftentimes if you are new to BDSM, you don't know, and you are looking to use a word called explore.
Okay, hold on. I don't want you to go too far.
Right.
Is there typically is there a teacher and a student, or are they learning together?
Okay, so you would hope that one would be the teacher and one would be the student, but oftentimes there's one posing as the teacher who may know one chapter more than the other person.
He's a fugazi teacher. Like, he doesn't really know what he's doing.
Oftentimes,
but he's
it's
acting
just
like Mr. Crabtree.
That's exactly right.
Like,
he's one chapter ahead. So,
but he didn't read the previous.
No,
chapter.
He just read the Cliff Notes,
right,
dude.
100%.
So I think this is one of the issues: is that there are people that spend years and years and years learning and educating themselves based on their own level. Okay, the mind is a terrible thing to waste, right? But at the same time, the mind is a fucking scary place because your imagination is unlimited. You can think of things in your mind. Some people, when they dream, go to places that the rest of us couldn't even imagine in a fucking movie. So the standpoint of sharing that with somebody, the level of trust that you have to have, just from the standpoint of this is what's in my mind.
But back to Mr. Crabtree, though.
Right.
So let's say someone's interested in BDSM, right? And then they get with this fake
Mr.
BDSM.
Crabtree, right.
So now you can ruin the experience for the person, right? So this person trusts you. They think you have experience.
That's 100%. And that's
you
quite
have
often
experience
the
with
case.
this domain, and then you don't perform correctly, or you don't give them what they were hoping.
Well, you have performance issues.
You just ruined BDSM for that person.
That's right.
You're a fake ass teacher.
That's exactly right, and that's actually more than 50% of the cases, because again, the level of trust between the two people is often misinterpreted simply because we don't even look at the word trust with the right level of understanding. So when you go into something, it's not based on what your needs are, it's based on what the needs of the two of you are. But we're too often focused on what our needs are that we could basically say, listen, I'm gonna let you share with me what it is that you want to do.
All right, so we're about
okay, Jay, that's true though. That's true.
I think we're about 15 episodes in or something like that. And
right.
A common theme, I think, is being true, right?
Yeah.
And no matter what subject we're talking about.
Well, that's why it's called Fun and Truth in Black and White.
At the end of the day, there's no future in fronting, right? There's no future in faking anything.
That's right.
So if you're gonna do it, whatever it might be,
go hard or go home.
Go hard or go home. And I just think that's important because really everything is possible with respect as the baseline, right? If there's no respect, it's over. Nothing you do is going to work out.
Yo, throw me the alley-oop, baby.
Yo, last time I threw you an alley-oop, you didn't dunk the ball. I swear. If I throw the ball off the backboard, dunk the damn basketball.
Yo.
I'm throwing it now. Okay?
Here you go, baby. It all comes down to what is between your ears, not what is between your legs.
Can I just give you a caveat? That's true.
Kind of.
But if your penis is a belly button, you're finished. No matter what's between your ears.
Mikey.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Before you clap. Mikey.
No. You're right. It's all mental. It's 99.9% mental.
That's why toys were invented, dude.
Yo, if you don't have the anatomy, son,
strap on.
Jay, no devil's advocate right now, Jay.
Yo, listen, man.
You know you hung, brother. You don't gotta go that way. You know what I mean?
And
I'm just trying to help out the brothers, you know?
Right. It goes both ways, though. I gotta think, at the end of the day, let's say you're into very, very voluptuous women, right?
Right.
Woman comes through, she's a size 2. She's not for you, right? So I'm just saying, and that's what I mean. It's not about the actual size and girth. It's about what you're into.
Right, but okay, where I was going with this, and I feel like I dunked that shit, and somehow you guys threw it back out the room.
Nah, it counts. But
but here's my point: is that if you recognize that sex, relationships, love is all about the brain being the biggest sexual organ there is, and that if you can mind fuck somebody, you already got their orgasm.
Yo, you know what? Sid, you have your phone, Sid? Can you record us taking a shot? Because Jay just nailed it. Like, you actually dunked the ball and got fouled and shit, and you made the shit go 100%. My
Game
man.
point.
Nah, I think that's a very good point. That's a very good point.
All right, we're going to take a shot break. We'll be right back.
When we come back, Mikey, hold on 1 second. When we come back, we're going to answer these questions from our good listeners.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Jen, I'll be back, Jen.
We want to thank our audience. These are some phenomenal questions.
Yo,
I'm loving it.
The intellect behind these questions.
This is that break.
So listen.
And yo, we got to shout out to Mikey Palms.
All day, every day, my man.
Thank you, guys.
All right, check it. First question.
Hit me.
Eyes Wide Shut was one of the first films with a sex scene
Stanley Kubrick.
that millennials were exposed to. What do you make of that, Jay?
Oh, shit.
All right, first of all, a big up to Stanley Kubrick. Unfortunately, he did not finish that movie, and it was finished by Steven Spielberg. Much props. Unfortunately, I did not like the way that
Yo, hold
it
on.
was edited.
Jay, I gotta just give you props. Jay knows the most obscure facts. Like, yo, if there was a Jeopardy category of shit people know that no one else knows, like, that's Jay's category. Let me get shit people know for double Jeopardy and shit. I did not know that, but go ahead, Jay.
I'll take that for 2,000, Alex.
100%. Don't call me Alex ever again.
Yo, this is a Jeopardy bar on the low.
100%?
Word up.
We watch that shit.
All right.
All right. Alex Trebek.
Yeah,
All right,
man.
let's go, Jay. Go ahead.
So, all right. The first thing is that, and again, this is to your fact that I have, like, I'm a purveyor of useless knowledge, but Eyes Wide Shut was about something called Hyros Gamos. And it was a secret society, lack of a better word, orgy that actually had symbolic meaning. So that's for anybody who really gives a shit and wants to know the meaning behind it. But in any case, the bigger point to it is the fact that for the younger generation who was exposed to this, and this is their first sex scene, it's no different than if you were to see Dangerous Liaisons, or if you were to see soft porn on HBO or Skinamax. The reality is that the fact that this was exposure to a certain segment of society, and the fact that they practice behind closed doors sexual practices that the rest of us dream of on the low. There's a certain amount of envy, desire. Oh, this is what rich people are like.
Jay, pass me the ball.
Yo.
All right, check it. So, I think that when you were a kid, right?
Uh-huh.
And there was that one kid on your block that had a Penthouse magazine that
right.
his father had.
Yep. And the rest of you were crowded around.
So it was a half a day, and you went home and you turned to page 36, and you made sure you turned back to that page after you were done looking at it, right? So,
and then you had to tuck that shit back in like 100%. You didn't disturb it.
So you read these stories, and what happens, you grow up thinking it's not real.
Right.
But it is.
Mm-hmm.
You see? So what happens, that whole scene where like person A says, hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And then they go have sex. Like that really happens, right? Like
Fiddle-ale.
So I'm just saying, like, I think to your point, maybe not this generation, but growing up, you kind of thought that stuff didn't really exist.
Word.
So it kind of created a secret society kind of like of people that wanted to explore that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's real, and I think a lot of people have these fantasies, fetishes, and then just go in when they have an opportunity.
Yeah, and the other thing behind it too is that what millennials have been exposed to that none of us were exposed to is the internet. And so therefore their access to
ease of access
visual
is crazy
and auditory stimulation And I use those words simply because it does not have to be a porn site.
Correct.
You have to appreciate that from SoundCloud, from Stitcher, from all these different channels, you can get people cursing. You can get visualization.
You can go no further than music.
Yeah.
Like, so when we were growing up, like, music was sexually implied.
It was innuendo.
It was like romance.
Yeah.
This is how you can sleep with the girl, right?
Yeah. There was
now it's be a stripper.
Insinuation.
Let's fuck. Like,
right. There's no insinuation. It's just bang it. So, it's blunt, bludgeoning. You are basically, well, let's put it this way. Dating today is how quickly do I show you my dick?
100%. Like, when we were in school, you had to try to gas a girl to show you her knockers. Like, meet me at the lockers. Now, everybody on Instagram is like, here.
We had an audience member just say, did he just say knockers? Yes, we are that old.
But I'm saying, like, but now, everybody on Instagram is showing them for free.
Word.
Like, think about it. Like, you had to say the right things to get to, like, third base.
Yeah, man.
Now everybody's like, here. My man, MC Search. My man's like, yeah, look at me. Like, dude, so my point is, listen, great question. Hit me, Jay. It's my turn.
All right, Pat. Familiarity breeds contempt. How do you keep it unfamiliar then?
That's a great,
Shakespeare.
Hold on. Mikey wants you to read that again.
That's anonymous.
Listen, but the question's so good. I love this audience.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
I think
how do you keep it unfamiliar?
You have to be creative. Whoa. So, for example,
put on a hat.
Whoa. Put on a hat. Well, you can put on a hat, or what you could do is, so you and your mate go on this date, movie night, date night, dinner night, but maybe one day you guys meet at a bar, like the MINIBAR. And
hey, she plug one.
She wears a wig, whatever. Like, you guys show up as strangers, right? Word. And now you kick it to your mate like you never met her, and y'all go rock in the bathroom.
Yo, that's a phenomenal.
I'm just saying, like,
idea.
I think creativity.
Jay, back up a little bit.
I think creativity and role play is how you keep it fresh.
And not only that, again, you mentioned something a couple of episodes ago in terms of there's toys, there's role play, there's a number of different situations. There's also the ability to just change. Now, this may sound sort of drastic, but sometimes not answering a text or turning your phone off or doing something unfamiliar to yourself is that opportunity that the other person is looking for, because being stuck in a rut is simply a matter of your situational environment being consistent. Oh my God, what a word. Consistency. So those of us who practice consistency don't realize that sometimes the other person might get bored with that consistency. It's not that they don't respect it. It's not that they don't appreciate loyalty, but consistency can get boring.
So maybe the other thing is seeing the person with somebody else.
There you go.
Like, if...
Ask the FedEx guy.
Now, if your mate says to you, look, the bartender or the maid or the chambermaid or the waitress, she's feeling you. I want to see you with her.
Putting your partner into situations that make them uncomfortable is absolutely an opportunity if you have that level of trust. But also putting yourself into situations that make you uncomfortable.
So I gotta say, to answer the question, the familiarity, do something unfamiliar. Like, whatever it might be, wear something different, switch up your cologne, switch up
take a trip,
switch up the visual aids instead of a regular movie.
Surprise them.
So do something out of the ordinary, then you'll get an adverse reaction that's different, and you go from there. Great question.
Agreed.
Jay, check it.
Who wrote that?
There's no names on these. It's all anonymous.
It's anonymous, baby.
But I'm doing a process of elimination because they're very good. Jay,
Hit me, Pat.
How do you overcome genetic and Darwinism preference for good nature and character?
Wait, hold up. Yo, who's writing these questions, man?
Yo,
Like an SAT.
Mikey,
Listen,
I'm telling you, the minibar has some intellectuals here.
hold on. And the
This is
question is,
stimulation.
it's a double question. How do you overcome them, and can you?
All right. So for those of us who are listening that don't know what genetic preference or Darwinism is, there is a natural desire, a natural tendency to go
Yo, can I
for.
tell you? I'm sorry, Jay. I know you're answering. Can I tell you how I'm aroused by the intellect of the question? Like seriously, that's so dope.
I'm glad you're more than 3 feet away from me right now.
Well, I'm not aroused. If you come near me, Jay, I'll knock you to. But listen, man, I'm just saying, whoever wrote this question is so smart. Anyway, go
Yeah,
ahead.
man. We were talking about what's between your ears, right? Obviously, we have some very psychotic individuals in the room.
Psychotic? All right, Jay, go ahead. You looked at my man over there that knew about BDSM.
Just because I know what the words mean, I'm into it. I ain't part of the community.
So, cheers. I'll drink to that.
All right, Jay, go in, Jay.
All right. So, you know, the reality is that there is a primal instinct, and whether we believe it or not, in our subconscious are these thoughts that make us attracted to certain things in a person that we may not necessarily realize. And so therefore the tendency to find the alpha in the room, to go for the most dominant person, the most attractive person, the person with the most confidence is natural. And overcoming that is a matter of whether or not you're looking towards their heart, their soul, towards things that you know are good about the person. And so there's the immediate attraction, what you see, what you feel, and then what the person presents to you.
I think gender is a big deal here because you hear women say, I didn't like him. He can't dress.
But there's something about
He's
him.
not attractive, but there's something about him.
Right.
You never hear a dude say that. Like, guys, tits and ass. Right?
Yes, we're very visual.
Or the guys that might be like, she doesn't have the biggest tits and ass, but she has tits and ass and something else.
Or she has a great shape.
Right. But women are like, I did not like him. He has a receding hairline.
Oh, wait, slow down.
I didn't like him. But there's something. You never hear a dude say, I didn't like her.
Yo, Mikey, bald is sexy, baby.
Yeah, listen, I can't talk about anybody. I'm follically challenged as well. I'm just saying, like, so I think genetics, I think the gender is a big deal here because dudes, women, a guy can grow on a girl. Women don't grow on guys. Guys either feel her or he doesn't.
All right, so you're
Talk about it. Hold on. Give it a mic. Give it a mic.
there's disagreement. There's disagreements.
Pass the mic. Pass
Give
the
it a
mic.
mic.
The mic at the bar. Mic at the bar. There's a mic at the bar.
Pass the mic.
So
I want to hear what Jen has to say because that's a
Jen, there's a mic at the bar.
Right there. No.
Port Five.
Yo, Jay.
Uh-oh.
Let's do this.
There's a mic at the bar. There's
What up there?
Pass me the microphone right there,
What
brother.
up there too?
What do you understand what the fuck I'm saying? Thank you. Damn. Hold on.
Here you go. Pat, take the mic back. Thank you. No problem.
Come on, Jen, let's get him.
No, I just disagree with you. I think you're selling men short, and I think, in my experience, limited though it may be, I think that men think that they like a certain type of woman, but then when they talk to a different type of woman, they overcome it in the same way that women do.
I would agree with that. I would say that the question is a matter of your physical attraction to somebody based on Darwinism and genetic preference and then can you overcome it? And what I was saying is that the only way you overcome it is if you get to have a conversation and know the person and find out what the soul.
I disagree.
And I think the point behind Pat's statement was that upon initial preference, it's very hard for men not to be who they are. So the difficulty from the standpoint, and understand, what we're talking about is like splitting hairs, but it's a really, really, really real issue in the fact that men are men for a reason. Now, there are a lot of men out there that would say, what does being a man mean? And I can only speak to my preference as a straight heterosexual man who is very much into women.
Relax.
So from that standpoint,
Take it easy.
Hey, listen, I can't back down. I'm in Darwinism mode now, okay? So the point is what Pat is saying is that, you know, our natural instinct as men is to go for tits and ass. However, you're absolutely right. And not only are you right, but once you introduce alcohol into the conversation, see, there's something called beer goggles, and that changes the whole picture
Liquid
altogether.
courage. Liquid courage. Now, you know what? She makes a good point. I guess it's wrong to group all men in one category, but just like monolithically, like one fell swoop, like one broad stroke. Dudes could be so simple.
Well, what you were saying and what you're 100% right about is that men are shallow on the surface.
But to her point, I'm glad. So what's funny is if we polled 1,000 women,
right?
I wonder how many have her experience where they met men who thought outside the box.
Right.
Or
Not only that, but
open-minded.
give men more credit than we're giving them.
Maybe I'm surrounded by a bunch of cavemen. I don't know. But that's a very good point. I'm glad she brought it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other point behind what we're talking about here is the fact that, again, there is that surface level observation that most of us tend to go for. Listen, Tinder exists for a reason.
And it's successful for a reason.
And it's successful for that same reason. So
I will say this, though.
Go ahead.
If more men thought like what Jen just alluded to, there'd probably be more successful relationships.
I
Right?
not
So
only
if
agree with
more
you, but
dudes
I
look
think that
beneath the
is
surface or beyond tits and ass,
right.
maybe they might find something more substantial in relationships.
Agreed.
Pretty cool.
Agreed.
So listen.
All right. Listen. Thank
Now
you.
Great point. We have one more question, Mike. You want to do a quick break?
We have two more questions.
No, but we should take a break and then go to the 2 more questions.
My man.
All right, we're gonna take another shot break. This is our overtime shot, and we'll be right back. All right, are we on?
You're on?
Is this thing on? Yeah,
All
I'm
right,
on.
we're back. This is Fun and Truth in Black and White with Pat and Jay. We're here live at MINIBAR. Give it up to Jen. Thank you to Stella, doing a phenomenal job behind the bar. Give it up to Stella.
Stella! Yeah.
Stella!
Yeah, Jay, we have 2 more questions. I'm going to shuffle these, all right?
All right.
Matter of fact, you just pick one.
There's writing on the back of one of them, but we'll deal with that later.
Oh, it's
All
a
right.
remix.
I'm going to read this. Uh-oh. Yo,
You said
Pat,
there's a member in the back?
what is something
What did you
you do now you wish you had done 5 years ago?
Being totally transparent,
Totally transparent. Give it to me loud
I don't
and clear.
give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
That's usually your segment,
That's
but what
right.
I mean is like, yo, who cares? Like, if you're not hurting anybody, just do you, right? Like, whatever your interest might be, just go ahead, because you really don't run a risk of, the risk is in not doing what you want to do, and then you wake up one morning and have regret, right?
Hand me the rock.
So long as you're not hurting anybody, just, start that blog, start that YouTube channel, go viral, do that thing that you want to do. So the difference between 5 years ago and now I truly just go in
Yo,
with
give me the
whatever I'm
rock.
feeling.
Give me the rock.
There you go. Here's your pass.
All right, so-
Hold on.
Hold up.
You didn't really answer the question. 5 years
Oh,
ago.
name one thing specifically.
Something you do now.
I mean, I like how you avoided it.
I'm a politician.
Can I give it to him?
Go ahead.
You do a podcast now.
So the way this, no lie, about
Fun
10
and
years,
truth.
about 10 years ago, we were sitting around talking and people were jumping. We were at a barbecue, drinking, eating. People were jumping in like on the thing he and I were talking about. I said, Jay, we should do a podcast every year since then.
So when we doing that podcast?
He's like, when are we doing the podcast? And every time I did not answer him.
Word up. So can I have the rock here?
Go ahead.
All right. So I'm gonna answer this from a personal standpoint. Year ago, literally, beginning of September, I was diagnosed with Lyme carditis. I was in the hospital. My heart rate was below 30, and basically, I had a defibrillator strapped to my chest. I had nurses and doctors basically wondering why I was not in a coma. And so I basically told everybody when I got out of the hospital that things were going to change. And one of the things we did was I told Pat, I was like, yo, we're doing the podcast this year.
Yo, it's a true story. And I was like, yo, you're still wearing like the tags on your wrist. This is what you're talking about.
That's exactly right.
But he was dead serious. And since then, it's been fun. It's been great. And
that's right. And that's why we do Fun and Truth in Black and White,
100%.
because this is an opportunity to just have some fun and also spit some truth that I think that people think about, they might, have on their mind, and we basically give legs to it.
Yeah, Jay.
All right, Jay, check this question out.
Hit me.
A great question. Porn is being disrupted by powerhouse filmmakers like Erica Lust, who show respect and boundaries. Some men, in parentheses, are not turned on by it. What are your thoughts?
Wait, hold on.
All right, so
Let's start one more time.
Run it back to you? All right. Porn is being disrupted by powerhouse filmmakers like Erica Lust, who make it more respectful and have more boundaries. And some men are not being turned on by porn anymore. What are your thoughts, Jay?
Whoa.
first of all, I think that the fact that somebody had the level of thought to use the word disrupted with porn is phenomenal. It's fucking phenomenal. But
because usually the only disruption with porn is
whether or
some
not
kind
you
of
got
action.
off already,
Right.
and the cleanup afterwards. So, getting into it, I'm not familiar with Erica Lust, but I would say that
Who is Erica Lust?
I just know I like her name.
But the
In
name
fact,
is phenomenal.
Here
Exactly.
comes Google. Keep going, Jay.
But
Go ahead.
yeah, while you're looking up on Dr. Google, what I will say is that number one is that things have to change, and change is good, and not everybody likes it. But I'm going to use a Jay-Z quote here that I love, which is, "Pleasure is pain, and pressure busts pipes." The reality is that you may make some people uncomfortable with what you do, and underneath the surface, they may enjoy that shit. So whether or not men are comfortable with the fact that there are boundaries, that's an educational process.
So I think you get in where you fit in,
That's right.
or squeeze in where you don't fit in. Right.
Well,
And
if you in Brooklyn and you trying to park, you better squeeze in.
that's one analogy. I'll leave the other one
Oh boy.
for another day. But I'm just saying, I just think,
Pat, I don't know about you, but I like tight spaces.
listen, I just think that,
Pun
No.
intended.
I just think that, hold on. I just think that, you get in where you fit in. There are some people that like soft porn. You go watch Cinemax.
Yeah.
If Erica Lust is providing more boundaries.
I have to tell you, soft porn in itself is an oxymoron.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But for what it's worth, if it's too intimidating for you to watch what someone else might watch and you want to watch something a little bit more tame, that's fine. Do your thing. I just think there's something for everybody out there. And if you look for it, you'll find it. So I don't have an issue with what Erica Lust is doing. I just looked her up and she's, she definitely has some boundaries in her directing of porn, but there's extreme porn, there's middle of the road, there's light porn, soft porn. I just think so long as you find there's a market for everything. So I don't begrudge anybody for liking one thing or another or promoting one thing or another.
Right. Again, the title of this episode was Go Hard or Go Home. And I think that whatever you do, as long as you go hard at it, you know, nobody can knock you for the fact that you're making your...
I mean, somebody's going to knock you, but who cares? Like,
exactly.
Do what you do.
Yeah, well, listen, 100%. Take the foul. So all right, we've got another question here.
There's one more?
Wheelhouse.
Here we go.
Yo, I lit up my cell phone and Jay grabbed the candle.
I thought
it's 1956. Yo, man, put the candle down, man.
All right, God. Pat, if it's about the mind fuck, can you make someone orgasm outside the bedroom?
Oh my God.
Absolutely. You ever had phone sex? Come on, man, stop it. Listen.
Well, I'm going to read into this differently. Because I think what they're talking about is the fact that whether it's foreplay or it's romance, the ability to stimulate someone to a level that they can get off outside the bedroom from an intellectual standpoint. You know, the brain is so capable of doing things that we haven't even imagined. Mikey's laughing at me. What the fuck am I missing, Roger?
I like your language.
Oh, okay. Well, you want me to get more poetic or something?
Hold on. Read this again, Jay.
All right. So, Pat, if it's about the mind fuck, can you make someone orgasm outside the bedroom?
Hell yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I'm saying, like, bro, it's all about a connection.
Right.
Once you have a connection with the other person, that connection exists all the time.
You know, here's the other thing. I want to like blend this with the other question that somebody asked about Darwinism and, you know, getting past when you get to know somebody. So one of the misinterpretations here is that you're thinking of that when you first meet somebody, that somehow you can make them orgasm without knowing anything about them. If you can do that, that's fucking amazing. That's hands down. But Mikey just said it. It's probably improbable. I'm not going to use the word impossible, but improbable.
I'm glad you said that because I was about to refute your whole shit.
Yeah. So the reality is that the more you get to know somebody and the longer you get into somebody, pun intended.
That's called fraud. If it has any relation with homosexuality. In this circumstance, that's nothing to do.
Okay, thank you. So the longer you get into somebody is the more you are able to find out what stimulates them outside the bedroom. So, for example, you might be able to text somebody at a random time in the middle of the day and context.
Or maybe you built a pergola for them in the backyard.
There you go.
And that turned them on.
That's like exactly
you never know.
Right.
But I got to say, sometimes it's instant gratification. Like 100%. It's not always a situation where you're building to something. Sometimes it's immediate. Like sometimes the timing is just right.
Yo, if the other person is feeling something and you just hit it the way they need it, hands down. But the probability of that versus knowing somebody for a long time and knowing what their likes and dislikes are and understanding the context. So what I'm saying is that the ability to help somebody achieve orgasm outside the bedroom is absolutely possible, but it's more likely the longer that you know them and the more into them you are.
Okay, that was double entendre innuendo.
Done.
Done.
You said
Listen,
the likely, the longer, and into you. That's what you just said.
You did say
so
that.
You know that. So you understand.
So this has been Fun and Truth in Black and White with Pat and Jay. I want to thank our hosts.
Hold on.
Go
I
ahead.
want to thank the DJ, Mikey Palms. I want to thank Jen. Jen has been a great host, and she had the best rebuttal.
Well, it was a phenomenal question, which shows
And
that
rebuttal.
her attention,
Another one.
her attention and awareness to us
Hold on.
as a host.
Stella's been bringing us drinks, and
Big
she's,
up.
she's
Big
heavy-handed.
up.
She's heavy-handed with the drinks.
Well, listen. I mean, more dap to Stella. Big tips coming your way. And listen, we want to thank our audience. It's been wonderful to be here tonight.
Much love. Thank you so much.
Great questions. We look forward to being here again. Thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Mikey, take us home.